Hey, fourth graders, it's Mrs. Spears. Today we start multiplication, yay! But before we get into the mechanics of multiplication, we got to talk about what multiplication is and why it works the way that it does. Like, what's the whole point of it? Why can't we just keep using addition all the time? It works the same way. Well, multiplication is really cool because it's basically a shortcut for repeated addition. But in order to figure out how that works, we got to figure out how multiplication is basically, it's a comparison. It helps us compare groups of something to a different kind of group of something so that we can count more efficiently instead of using repeated addition all the time. So I'm on page 63 down here. And starting with this one, multiplication comparisons. So you can use multiplication to compare amounts. For example, you can think of 15 equals 3 times 5 as a comparison in two ways. So they have one comparison here. We have 15 is, so 15, this whole group right here, is 3 times as many as 5. So if here I have 3 groups of 5, 1, 2, 3, and here I only have one group of 5. So we're comparing what 3 groups of 5 is like to one group of 5. One group of 5 just has 5 in it, but 3 groups of 5 makes 15. Same thing over here though. To get 15, we can rearrange things so that we still get the same answer. So we can also have 15 is 5 times as many as 3. So instead of having 3 groups of 5, we can have 5 groups of 3 and still get 15. That's the cool thing about multiplication, is there's different ways to write it by making different kinds of groups, which is pretty cool. All right, Carly has 9 pennies, so I know that Carly has 9. Jack has 4 times as many pennies as Carly. So 4 times as many as Carly. How many pennies does Jack have? So we're trying to figure out how many does he have. I don't know that information. I don't know how many he's got. All I know about Jack is that he has 4 times as many as Carly. So I'm going to use the letter N to represent how many pennies Jack has, because I don't know that answer. All I know is the comparison. They give me a clue about it. So when we have information we don't know in math, we use letters to take their place. So with this problem, I'm going to use N in all the places that I have to write how many pennies Jack has, because I don't know that information just yet. So anytime you see an N, that's what it's representing. So we can first draw a model and write an equation to solve. So we know that Carly has 9 because the problem tells us that. And I know that Jack has 4 times as many as Carly. So we can think of this as writing one of Carly's groups, a second of Carly's groups, a third of Carly's groups, and a fourth of Carly's groups as well. So I can take Carly's group and do it 4 times to figure out how many pennies Jack has. Again, I don't know what that is yet. All I know is it's 4 times how many Carly has. So that's how many Carly has, and again, and again, and again, 4 times, because that's the clue I got from my problem. So we can figure that out. We can put it into an equation. We know that the number of pennies Jack has, that's our N, equals 4 times the number of Carly's groups, because it's 4 times as many as Carly. So Carly has 9. My equation can be the number of pennies is 4 times as many as Carly's, which would be the number of pennies is 4 times 9, because that's how many Carly has. 4 times 9 is 36. So the value of N is 36. And now that I know what N is, N equals 36, I don't have to use the N anymore. I can just use 36. So Jack has 36 pennies. So multiplication is a comparison. It's comparing how many is in one group and how many times that group is in the other one. So with this one, we figured out there were 9 in Carly's group, but Carly compared to Jack is 4 times as many. Jack has 4 times as many as Carly. So that's a comparison. We're comparing Carly and Jack. And we use the math to help us figure out how many Jack has compared to how many Carly has. All right, let's turn the page. We could also kind of use this thinking, but with other pieces of information. So it says, draw a model and write an equation to solve. Miguel, it has 3 times as many rabbits as Sarah. Miguel has 6 rabbits. How many rabbits does Sarah have? Well, if this problem was going to be like the last problem, it would have said, how many does Miguel have? But it would have given us Sarah's information. Well, this time, we don't know how many Sarah has. We just know what the total is. The total is 6 rabbits in Miguel's. But now we have to figure out, we have to kind of work backwards in a different way. So it says, think. You don't know how many rabbits Sarah has, so we're going to use N for Sarah's rabbits. So I'm just going to write that off to the side. N equals Sarah's rabbits, how many she has. Because I don't know that information, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So I know that Miguel has 3 times as many as Sarah. I know that much information already. So this box, there's 3 groups of those. So this must be representing Miguel's rabbits. And Sarah's are down here. So I don't know how many Sarah has, but I know that Miguel has 3 times whatever it is she has. So I'm going to do 3 groups of N, because Miguel is has 3 times as many as Sarah. So he has 3 Sarahs basically, okay? 3 of Sarah's groups. And I know that that total is 6, but now I have to figure out, okay, so what number times 3 is going to give me 6? Well, let's put that into an equation and see if we can figure that out. So I know that the total number that Miguel has is 6, and that equals 3 groups of Sarah's rabbits. So 3 groups of Sarah's rabbits. So 3 times Sarah. So then I have to think, what number times 3? Question mark. What number times 3 gives me 6? Oh, I know 2. 2 times 3 gives me 6. So the value of N is 2. So that means that Sarah has 2 rabbits. And there's our answer down there too. So this is the same thing. We're still comparing 2 things. We're comparing how many Miguel has versus how many Sarah has. But instead of, in the last problem, we had to figure out, they gave us how many in the smaller group, and then we had to multiply that by how many groups of that group the second person had. This one works the other direction. They give us the final for the multiple groups, but then we had to figure out how many was in the original group. But it's still the same way of thinking. It's still comparing how many in one person for one person compared to how many in a different person by using groups. So let's try these down here. Sometimes they'll do this basically in a sentence, and we create an equation based on the sentence. The cool thing about that is that when math is hidden into sentences, there's clues in there that help us pull out that information. So I've got 21 is 7 times as many as 3. Well, if we take that and we translate it into math, 21 is in math means equals. So 21 is 7 times as many as 3. So if I have 21 pennies, I know that that's going to be 7 groups of 3. So 21 is 7 times as many as 3. Write a comparison sentence. 8 times 5 equals 40. So this is going the opposite direction. We went from a sentence to an equation. Now we're going from an equation to a sentence. But it works the same way. So we have equals 40. We know that that is and the equals match up. So I can put the 40 down here, which means 8 times 5 is 8 times as many as 5 is 40. All right, I like this problem a lot down here. It says there are 8 students in the art club. There are 3 times as many students in chorus. How many students are in the chorus? So I don't know. My missing information is how many students are in chorus. So I'm going to use N for chorus. Students. I don't know how many are in chorus. So I'm going to use N to represent that. But I know there are 8 in the art club. And there are 3 times as many students in the chorus. So even though I don't know how many are in the chorus, that clue gives me an idea of where to go with that. So the chorus is like having 8 art clubs in it. Here's 1 art club, another art club, and another art club, because there's 3 times as many students in the chorus as there is in the art club. So we have to do art club 3 times. And that equals N, which is what we're searching for. We're trying to figure out how many chorus students there are. I know that's 3 groups of art students. So if we put that up into our equation over here, N equals 3 times as many as art club, which is, there's 8 kids in the art club. So now my equation is N equals number of chorus students equals 3 times as many kids as in art. So 3 times 8, which is 24. So the value of N is 24, which means there are 24. Remember, N represents our chorus students. So there are 24 students in the chorus. So this is what we're going to be working on this week, so we can understand more about what multiplication is and how it works the way that it does, so that when we get into how to do more complex multiplication here in the next couple weeks, we understand where all that information comes from. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.